My name is Sarah. I'm 35 years old, and I learned the hard way that cruelty doesn't always come with yelling. Sometimes it arrives as a perfectly timed photograph. Last Saturday at 2:17 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a photo from my boyfriend, Daniel. No text, no explanation. Just an image. The watch box I had wrapped in navy paper 3 nights earlier, unopened, sitting on top of garbage in what looked like a public trash can, coffee grounds, a crumpled receipt, something wet soaking into the ribbon I'd tied myself. Underneath the photo, a caption. This is where your effort belongs. I stared at it for a long time, not because I didn't understand it, but because I did. Daniel and I had been together for 4 years. 4 years of shared grocery lists, shared streaming passwords, shared Sunday mornings. 4 years of me believing we were building towards something permanent. His birthday had been Friday. Weeks earlier, he'd mentioned, casually, almost offhand, that he'd always wanted a specific vintage Omega watch. Not flashy, not new, something with history. Most people would have forgotten that comment. I didn't. I tracked one down through a collector 3 states away, paid to have it authenticated, serviced, polished without removing its character. It cost me $1,500. Not because it was trendy, but because it mattered to him. I wrapped it myself because he once told me store wrapping felt corporate. Thursday night, I gave it to him at his favorite restaurant downtown. He opened the box, looked at the watch, and said, "Oh, that's nice," then closed it. Didn't try it on, didn't ask how I found it. Just went back to his appetizer. I told myself he was tired. Work had been intense lately. He'd been distant for months, but I blamed stress, deadlines, anything except the possibility that he was already somewhere else emotionally. Saturday afternoon, I learned the truth. Because the trash photo wasn't impulsive. It was composed. He had to take the watch, leave the house, find a public trash can, place it carefully, step back, capture the angle, then send it to me. That level of intention takes clarity. I saved the photo. Then I replied with one word. Understood. He responded immediately. A string of laughing emojis. Then, finally getting it. I didn't reply. I opened my laptop instead. First call, our cell phone provider. The account was under my name. I'd added Daniel 2 years ago when his contract expired. I need to separate one line from my account, I told the representative calmly. Yes, ma'am, he'll keep his number, but billing responsibility will transfer to him. Effective immediately. There will be a 30-day grace period. That's fine. Click. Second call, my older sister Marissa. She lives 4 hours away, has a P.O. box for her small business. I need a favor, I said. Her voice sharpened instantly. What happened? I'm going to mail something to your P.O. box. When it arrives, hold on to it. Don't tell anyone. Sarah. I'll explain later. A pause. Okay, she said finally. Are you safe? I am now. Daniel had left his passport at my apartment 6 months ago after a trip to Montreal. I'd reminded him at least a dozen times to take it home. He never did. I walked to my desk drawer where we kept important documents. There it was. Blue cover. Worn edges. I slid it into a padded envelope, addressed it to Marissa's P.O. box. Paid for priority shipping with tracking. 2-day delivery. As I handed it to the postal clerk, I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. He wanted to show me where my effort belonged, so I decided to show him what consequences look like. Then I went home and waited. Sunday morning, Daniel called. I let it ring twice before answering. We need to talk, he said immediately. His voice sounded strained, not remorseful, pressured. About what? I asked, already knowing. About us. About where this is going. I almost laughed. I thought you made that clear yesterday, I said, with the photo. A pause. That was me being frustrated. Frustrated. Such a small word for something so deliberately cruel. You were frustrated, I repeated. So you threw away a gift I spent weeks finding, staged it in a trash can, and sent me a photo. I didn't throw it away, he snapped. I just took the picture to make a point. What point? That you don't actually know me. There it was. The shift. The pivot from cruelty to accusation. I leaned back against my kitchen counter. I don't know you. You got me a watch I mentioned once months ago. That's not thoughtful, Sarah. That's you checking a box. My chest tightened, not with heartbreak, but with disbelief. I spent weeks finding that exact watch. Had it authenticated. Serviced. That's effort, he said, not understanding. The way he said it, like I'd failed some invisible exam. What did you actually want, Daniel? I wanted you to surprise me with something meaningful. You told me you wanted that watch. I said it was nice. I closed my eyes. He was rewriting history in real time. This is insane, I said quietly. You're changing the story to justify what you did. I told you I didn't actually throw it away. Then where is it? Silence. Long enough. Daniel, I continued evenly, Take a picture of it right now. Show me it's at your apartment. I don't have to prove anything to you. Because he couldn't. You actually threw it away, I said, and you photographed it specifically to hurt me. You're being dramatic. I'm being accurate. He exhaled sharply. So what, you're breaking up with me over this? No, I said, I'm acknowledging you already broke up with me. That's not true. Then why would you send that photo? Why would someone who loves their partner do that? He didn't answer. Instead, he shifted tactics. You're overreacting. And there it was, the familiar move. Minimize. Deflect. Blame my sensitivity. But something inside me had already calcified. No, I said calmly. I am reacting appropriately. Probably should have done it months ago. Wait, I hung up. He called back immediately. I declined. Again. And again. Then the text started. We need to talk about this. You can't just end 4 years over one fight. I'm sorry, okay? Please call me back. This is ridiculous. I muted the thread. Monday afternoon, I received confirmation from the cell provider. His line had officially been separated. Billing responsibility transferred. 30 days before suspension. Clean, efficient. Tuesday, Marissa texted. Package arrived. What exactly am I holding? Daniel's passport. Long story. 3 dots appeared instantly. Sarah, that's messy. So was the photo. She didn't reply after that. Wednesday evening, Daniel showed up at my apartment. I saw his car from the window before he knocked. 3 sharp raps. Then more. Then his voice through the door. Sarah, I know you're home. I didn't move. My phone buzzed. Daniel, let me in. We need to talk. Me, no. Daniel, you can't ignore me forever. Me, that's exactly how breakups work. Daniel, we're not broken up. Me, we are. I'm just saying it out loud. He knocked again. Harder this time. I want my stuff, he texted. I looked around my apartment. His hoodie on the back of a chair. Toothbrush in the bathroom. Shoes by the door. 4 years of accumulation. I'll box it up, I replied. You can pick it up next week. I want to talk face to face. I don't. This is childish. No, I typed back slowly. This is self-preservation. He stayed another 10 minutes, then left. I watched from the window as his car disappeared down the street. For the first time in months, the apartment felt quiet, not empty. Clear. Thursday morning, I boxed everything. Clothes, books, chargers, random clutter he'd scattered into my life. It took 2 hours. 4 years condensed into cardboard. I stacked the boxes by the door and texted him. Your things are ready. Let me know when you want to pick them up. I won't be here. He called instantly. This time I answered, speaker on while I poured coffee. Why are you doing this? He demanded. Doing what? Acting like I'm some stranger. You threw my gift in the trash. I apologized. No, I corrected. You apologized because I didn't react the way you expected. That's not true. You thought I'd chase you, I continued. You thought I'd beg to understand what I did wrong. When I didn't, you panicked. Silence. I was stressed about work, he said finally. And I'm stressed about being treated like garbage. So that's it? He asked. 4 years and you're just done? 4 years of what? I asked softly. Apparently 4 years of me not knowing you. You're twisting this. No, I'm finally seeing it clearly. A beat. Then, casually, what about my passport? There it was. I had been waiting. What about it? I asked. I left it at your place. Did you? You know I did. Where is it? Somewhere safe. That's my property. You can't keep it. I'm not keeping it, I said calmly. I'm storing it. You left it here for 6 months. I need it next month. I have a work trip. Then you should have kept track of it. You're being vindictive. I looked down at the photo still saved in my phone. The watch in the trash. The caption. This is where your effort belongs. I'm being exactly as considerate as you taught me to be, I said. He inhaled sharply. You can't do this. I already did. He hung up first. And for the first time since Saturday, I smiled. Because he was no longer in control of the narrative. Friday morning, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it. Almost. Hello? A composed older woman's voice answered. Hi, Sarah. This is Daniel's mother. Of course it was. I leaned back against my kitchen counter, staring out the window at nothing. Hi. I think we need to talk about what's happening. With respect, I said evenly, this is between Daniel and me. He's very upset. He says you're keeping his passport from him. There it was, the version of the story he was telling. I'm not keeping anything from him, I replied. I'm storing his property safely while we navigate our breakup. A small pause. This seems excessive, over a birthday misunderstanding. Did he tell you what he did with the birthday gift? I asked. He said you two disagreed. I let silence stretch just long enough. He threw it in a public trash can, I said. Took a photo of it, sent it to me with the caption, "This is where your effort belongs." Silence. Longer this time. He did what? I have the photo, I added gently, if you'd like to see it. Another pause, the kind that sounds like someone recalibrating. That's not okay, she said finally. No, I agreed. It isn't. He didn't mention that. I imagine he didn't. Her tone shifted. Softer now, less accusatory. Sarah, he's been stressed. I'm sure he has, I replied, but stress doesn't manufacture cruelty. It reveals it. That landed. She cleared her throat. He needs his passport, and I need accountability. You're both being stubborn. Maybe, I said, but I'm done being the only one absorbing impact. There was a quiet understanding forming on the other end of the line. Not full agreement, but doubt. Doubt about her son's version. I'll speak to him, she said carefully. I appreciate that. We hung up. 10 minutes later, my phone rang again. Different number, I answered. Did you really tell my mother about the photo? Daniel demanded. She asked about the disagreement. I clarified. You had no right. She called me to lecture me about a passport. I gave context. She's furious. Good. You're humiliating me. No, I corrected calmly. You humiliated yourself when you sent that photo. His breathing sharpened. I need my passport. And I need a real apology. I already apologized. You said you were sorry I was upset. A pause. Fine, he said stiffly. I'm sorry I sent the photo. I'm sorry I threw away the watch. I'm sorry I hurt you. I waited. Happy? Explain why you did it. What? Why take the photo? Why send it? What were you hoping would happen? Silence. Not defensive this time. Avoidant. I was angry. About what? About everything. That's not specific. He exhaled hard. You wouldn't understand. Try me.
Another the song about him?
That's when I heard it. Not in his words, but in the space between them. There was something else. Something he hadn't said. You've been distant for months, I continued quietly. You picked a fight over something that didn't need to be a fight. That photo wasn't about a watch. He didn't respond. Who is she? I asked. Silence. Then, that's not relevant. It was. Completely. There's someone at work, isn't there? It's not like that. Then what is it like? He hesitated, and that hesitation was louder than anything he'd said all week. He started. She listens. There it was. She listens, I repeated. She pays attention. She remembers things. She asks about my ideas, about what I want. She makes me feel seen. The words felt rehearsed, polished, as if he'd been justifying this internally for a while. And I don't? I asked quietly. You used to. Used to. Past tense. When did I stop? I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he deflected again. That's not the point. It is the point. He exhaled sharply. I don't want to do this over the phone. Then let's not. Silence. Finally, he said, fine, let's meet. Public place, I replied. Coffee shop? Saturday. I hung up and stared at my reflection in the dark phone screen. It wasn't the watch. It was never the watch. The photo had been bait. A detonator. He wanted me to explode, to become unreasonable, to give him a clean exit. Instead, I'd gone quiet. Strategic. And that unsettled him more than any argument could have. Saturday would be about truth. And I already knew what I was going to ask. Saturday afternoon, the coffee shop smelled like roasted espresso and rain-soaked pavement. I arrived 10 minutes early. Corner table, back to the wall. Old habits. Daniel walked in exactly 9 minutes late. He looked tired, not heartbroken, just irritated, like this was an inconvenience. He didn't hug me, didn't smile. He sat down across from me without ordering anything. Where's my passport? He asked immediately. I tilted my head slightly. Hello to you too. I don't have time for this, Sarah. I need it. I have a work trip in 3 weeks. 3 weeks is plenty of time, I replied evenly. First, we talk. He exhaled, jaw tight. About what? About why you sent that photo. I told you I was angry. Angry about what, Daniel? He stared at the table. About everything, he muttered. That's vague. His eyes flicked up, defensive. About you being complacent. Complacent. Interesting choice of word. Complacent how? You stopped trying, he said. You stopped making things exciting. You just existed in the relationship. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. I tracked down a rare vintage watch across 3 states, I said quietly. Had it authenticated, serviced, wrapped it by hand. That's complacent? That's effort, he snapped. Not understanding. The same line again. Rehearsed. What did she get you? I asked calmly. His expression shifted, barely, but enough. What? The woman at work. What did she get you? She didn't get me anything. But she gives you something, I said. Attention. Novelty. He looked away. She just listens, he said again. She asks questions. She remembers things. I ask you how you are every day. You ask out of routine. How would you know that? Because it feels different. There it was, the illusion of something new. She's new, I said softly. New feels different. New feels attentive because you're performing for each other. He shook his head. You wouldn't understand. Try me. He hesitated. Then, quietly, she makes me feel interesting again. The words landed heavier than I expected. Not because they were devastating, but because they were honest. And I don't? I asked. You used to. Again with the past tense. When did I stop? I don't know, he said, frustrated. Somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing me. I studied him carefully. No, I said finally. Somewhere along the way, you stopped showing yourself. He frowned. You started giving me one-word answers. Fine. Whatever. Up to you. You stopped telling me what you wanted, then blamed me for not guessing. That's not fair. It's accurate. He leaned back, arms crossed. Other women don't need everything spelled out for them. There it is. What? The comparison. He opened his mouth to argue, then stopped. You've been comparing me to her for months, haven't you? Silence. That's why the watch wasn't enough, I continued, because it wasn't from her. That's not true. Then why did you need me to fail? His jaw tightened. You sent that photo because you wanted me to break up with you, I said quietly. You wanted to make me the bad guy so you wouldn't feel guilty. That's paranoid. Is it? He didn't answer. I leaned forward slightly. Are you interested in her? That's not relevant. It's the only relevant thing. His eyes darted toward the window. Daniel, I said softly, are you interested in her? Long silence. Then, maybe. Not an apology. Not remorse. Just a crack in the truth. Have you acted on it? No. Emotionally? He didn't answer. That was answer enough. The noise of the coffee shop faded for a moment. 4 years. Reduced to maybe. I haven't done anything wrong, he said quickly. I haven't cheated. You emotionally checked out, I replied, then punished me for noticing. That's not what happened. You built a fantasy, I continued calmly, about someone who sees you better, listens better, feels easier, and instead of confronting that honestly, you staged a scene with my gift. He stood abruptly. This was a mistake. Sit down, I said evenly. He hesitated, then sat. We're not done. Yes, we are. No, I said quietly. We're not. He looked exhausted now, less angry, more cornered. I need you to decide, I continued. You don't get both. You don't get to keep me stable while exploring whether she feels more exciting. That's not what I'm doing. It is. Silence. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm keeping your passport for 1 more week. That's insane. In that week, you figure out what you actually want. You can't dictate terms. I can, I said calmly, because I'm the one being honest right now. He scoffed. I'll call the police. And tell them what? I asked. That you left your passport at my apartment 6 months ago? He didn't respond. If you want it, I continued, you meet me with clarity, not confusion, not comparisons. Clarity. And if I choose her, then you get your passport and your freedom. And if I choose you, then we start over. But there will be no ghost comparisons, no secret scorecards. He stared at the table. I stood. You have my number, I said softly. Call me when you know what you're doing. I walked out first. He didn't follow. 3 days later, Tuesday evening, my phone rang. I already knew. Tuesday, 8:03 p.m. His name lit up my screen. For a moment, I considered letting it ring out, not as punishment, but as symbolism. 4 years of reflexively answering him didn't need to continue. But I picked up. Hi, he said. His voice was quieter than before, not defensive, not angry, just tired. I've been thinking, he continued, and you were right about some of it. I didn't rescue him from the silence. I have been comparing you to her, he admitted. I built up this idea that maybe something better was out there. There it was, out loud. And the watch, I asked. I used it as an excuse, he said. It felt safer to make you the problem than admit I was distracted. Distracted. Such a polite word for betrayal. Do you want to leave? I asked calmly. A long pause. I don't know, he said. I'm confused. I closed my eyes briefly. Then I made it simple. Pick her or pick me, I said. But you don't get both. That's not fair. Neither was the photo. Silence. Then, barely above a whisper, I think I want to see what happens with her. There it was. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just a quiet choice. Okay, I said. He seemed surprised by the lack of emotion. That's it? That's it. A beat. Can I have my passport now? Of course. Logistics. Even now. It's at my sister Marissa's P.O. box, I said. 4 hours away. I'll text you the address. What? His voice sharpened. You mailed it? Yes. Why would you do that? Because I needed space, and I needed certainty. That's manipulative. No, I replied calmly. It's strategic. Silence. Who knows about this? He asked. My sister, her husband. You told them everything? Yes. His exhale was sharp. You're humiliating me. No, I said gently. I'm protecting myself. There are witnesses to the truth now, not just your version. Another silence. They're expecting you, I added. They'll give it to you. He hung up shortly after. No goodbye. 2 days later, Marissa texted. He's here. A minute later, he looks miserable. Then, you sure about this? I stared at the message. Yes. Give him the passport. Let him go. 5 minutes passed. Then, he tried to explain his side. And? We weren't interested. I smiled faintly. Closure doesn't always come from the person who hurt you. Sometimes it comes from knowing the truth isn't debatable. That was 6 weeks ago. I haven't heard from Daniel since. Mutual friends say he's dating the coworker now. Apparently, it's not as effortless as he imagined. Novelty fades when it becomes routine. Attention feels different when it's expected. I don't wish him harm. But I don't romanticize what happened either. I sold the watch on a collector's forum. Got back most of what I paid. Used the money to book a solo trip to Santa Fe. My first vacation alone in years. It was quiet there. Peaceful in a way I hadn't felt in months. No emotional guessing games. No comparisons hanging in the air. Just me. Sometimes I think about that photo. The navy wrapping paper soaking through with coffee grounds. This is where your effort belongs. At first, it felt like humiliation. Now it feels like clarity. He showed me exactly who he was. No ambiguity. No confusion. Just documented contempt. The passport? Yes, it was petty. I'll admit that. But it forced honesty. It forced him to say out loud what he was trying to engineer silently. That he wanted someone else. That I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't failing some invisible test. I was simply no longer aligned with his wandering attention. Last week, Marissa asked if I regretted how I handled it. No, I told her. You were cold, she said. No, I corrected gently. I was done. There's a difference. He wanted to play a game. He wanted me to chase. To beg. To doubt myself. Instead, I stepped back. I watched. I documented. And when it was time, I chose myself. He got what he thought he wanted. A fresh start, a new woman who listens. I got what I needed. Truth. Closure. And the knowledge that when someone shows me exactly where they think my effort belongs, I can walk away without arguing about it.